Welcome, everyone. My name is Keith Chasson, your host for tonight. We have the honor, the opportunity of listening to Numi's founder once again, Stephen K. Scott. We have about 30 seconds before we actually get started. So I'm going to set a little timer off and make sure you take this time and go ahead and contact some folks that you might have reached out to earlier. It hasn't shown up yet, but let's go ahead and reach out. All right, all right. Well, once again, welcome everyone. Like I mentioned earlier, my name is Keith Chasson. I'm excited to be able to introduce our speaker tonight. You know, a little bit over 3 years ago in 2022, I had not remembered that I knew about Steve Scott. See, back in 2015, I had purchased a book and dove right into it. It was called The Richest Man Who Ever Lived. This one right here. And actually read it a couple of times, highlighted, underlined it, and you know, when I found out that this was the same Steve Scott that had launched the company called Numi, along with Breakthrough Supplement Delivery Technology, Hydrostat, I had to go meet him personally. Jamie and I drove 8 hours. I threw her in the car, kicking and screaming. Actually, no, she was excited to come with me, and we drove 8 hours to Dallas, Texas, and went to an event that he was speaking at, and it was a great pleasure to be able to meet the man behind the mission of Numi. And once we were able to do that, I knew this was a rock solid foundation, a rock solid company, rock solid technology. And we knew that it was definitely going to be something that we can feel comfortable with sharing it with our close family and friends, and we wouldn't have to be embarrassed about it. So let me bring to the front end or the front of the stage my friend, your friend, Stephen K. Scott. Stephen, take it away.
Oops, you're frozen.
Oh.
Okay, there we go. You were frozen.
Oh.
Okay, we're on. We're on. And it's so good to see everybody. With this, the bad thing about vacation time, and summer is vacation time here in the States. And the bad thing about it is that sometimes people are gone that their normal duties don't get covered. So our person that makes the announcement of last night's meeting and tonight's meeting made no announcement. So we've got a nice, small, intimate group. And Keith, can you look and just see if we've got anybody new? Because if not, I'll turn it into a question and answer period, which is always fun.
Let's see. I'm seeing a couple names that I do not recognize. If you're new watching for the first time, just comment in the chat that you're here for the first time.
How are things in New Zealand, Jackie? You're muted. There we go. I think he has to unmute you. That's not working.
Try now, Jackie. I hit the unmute button. Try it now.
She's unmuting. You have to unmute also.
Yeah.
It's in the lower left-hand side of your screen.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like, there we go. Somebody's helping. There we go.
Now I hear you. How are you in New Zealand?
The sun is shining, Steve.
Oh, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, the sun is shining. I'm at a Japanese water basin stone carving class, and I've just left to attend your presentation.
Oh,
I always learn something new.
Well, I'll give you a few new things for fun. Let's see. Keith, have we decided whether we do the normal or do we do questions and answers?
Well, you know, I'm seeing no one's actually answering, so I would say let's do a brief technology, and let's go into a question and answer.
Okay.
That would be really amazing.
For those of you that don't know, we have a patented formulation for a number of things, but glutathione being one of them. And we have a very different technology. Our technology allows us to do things nobody else in the world has ever done. And consequently, we see things nobody else in the world has ever seen. For those of you that don't know, we have a science and medical advisory board. They all serve for free because they have seen the power and what this product and technology can really do. Somebody just came in from Lawton, Oklahoma. That's an important place in my life. Why? Because it's where I learned. The Air Force was kind enough. I was only 17, and they paid for my training in a glider, and I got my glider pilot's license in Lawton, Oklahoma. And one of the great miracles of my life was I was on my second solo flight. There were 8 of us going through this training, and I had done my first solo, and I was first to solo. So at the end of the day, they said, okay, we have time for one more. And the way a glider works is you hook up a rope to a tow plane, and it tows you to 3,000 feet above the ground. Then you release, and the tow plane peels off to the left, you peel off to the right, and you are on your way down. You don't have an engine. And so you're looking for what are called thermals. A thermal is a rising column of air. And you know when you go through one because the plane bumps. And then once you go through it, you cut real hard to the right or to the left to try to catch the thermal. And once you catch it, you rotate, kind of like a parking garage. Just imagine going up a parking garage at 60 miles an hour. And that's what you're doing. And you go up and you go up. Finally, you hit the top of the thermal, which in this case was around 7,200 feet. And then you just play around. You're losing altitude. That's okay, but you got lots of time to play around. Then you find another thermal, and you do that. Well, I won 2 international awards that day because I not only got more altitude than normal from a 3,000 foot release, and I hit a certain point, but also because I stayed aloft for 45 minutes, where normally from a release from 3,000 feet, you'd only stay aloft, stay up in the air for 15 minutes. So I'm having a lot of fun going around in circles. I've never been to Lawton, Oklahoma before. And it's the surrounding area are hills and not a lot of buildings, and at least where the airfield was that we were flying out of. And finally, the sun starts to go down. And when the sun goes down, the air cools off and there are no more thermals, which means you can no longer increase your altitude. You're going to be down on the ground. And in this case, I was going to be down on the ground in 25 minutes, like it or not, wherever. And I real quick do a 360 looking for the airfield, and I've lost it. There's no air. I can't see. I have no idea which direction to point the nose of the plane. And for those of you that don't know, I'm the highest attention deficit order ever measured by the University of Utah as an adult even, is when they measured me. They wire up your brain and they tell you all about yourself. Well, I was completely lost. And of course, losing altitude the whole time. And I said, Lord, I don't have any idea which direction to point the plane. And there's 360 degrees. And I said, I'm just going to do one more 360. And if you just give me a nudge, a whisper, something that this is the direction I should point the nose in. So I do about 3/4 of the way through a circle, and I feel a little nudge, just a tiny little nudge. So I real quick level off and start in that direction. So I go down for about 15 minutes, and there is still no airfield in sight. Did I make a wrong turn? Did I guess wrong? I didn't even guess. I just went on what I thought was a nudge. And finally, with about 6 minutes left before I hit the ground, I see the airfield, and it's dead in front of me. So that nudge was just right. I mean, it's right in front of me. So I go, and you're supposed to hit your, what they call an initial point, an IP, at 1,000 feet. And then as soon as you hit that IP, you bank left and you go in and you land. And I hit the IP at 750 feet. So I was 250 feet lower than I was supposed to be, which means I might not make the runway. I might go down before I get to the runway. And miraculously, everything worked out. It was amazing. My instructor wasn't too happy with me. But once again, it points something out. It's one of thousands of miracles that have happened to me in my life. For those of you that don't know me, I was an atheist until I was 16 years old. And then at 16, a scientist who I had tremendous respect for gave me a book. And that book was written by one of the great writers of all time out of England, C.S. Lewis, of the 20th century. And the book was called Mere Christianity. And from that point on, I read it that night, Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night. On Wednesday night, I found myself with a tremendous faith in God that I didn't have before reading that book. And so my time when I got lost a year later, flying around in circles in Lawton, Oklahoma, which is the only reason you're hearing this story tonight, because somebody signed in from Lawton. And that was one of the very early miracles in my life. There's been a whole bunch. If I wrote them all down that I could remember, there'd be at least 200 or 300. And we're talking life-changing miracles, life-saving miracles. I mean, it's crazy. And one of the books my wife wants me to write, and I've written the first chapter, but I'm going slow on it because Numi is so busy right now. And but it's called Miracles All Around Me. And all of us are a miracle. Those of you who haven't heard me, if there's anybody on the phone, you know that I love learning facts about the human body because it's can't be duplicated. It's a miracle. You're not one miracle. You're actually trillions and trillions and trillions of miracles. You know, every cell in your body, you have 50 trillion cells, between 37 and 50 trillion. Different scientists give us different numbers. And every one of those cells is more complex, almost infinitely, but by billions of times more complex than anything man has ever built. The most complex machine ever built by mankind was the Saturn V rocket and its lunar lander and lunar orbiter. That took 35,000 engineers 8 years to design and build. And you right now have between 37 and 50 trillion cells, and every one of them is more complex, more systems working together in sync. There's even a wireless system in our cells, and that wireless system has more than 1 trillion what they call non-covalent bonds. So it's wireless communication. They're communicating without sharing an electron. Not just 1 trillion, you have 1 trillion times 10 to the 19 billionth power. That's a lot of non-covalent bonds, and they're all working together. I mean, it is amazing. Man has never made a single living cell. It's so complex. And what we're going to talk about tonight is something that we have, a technology and a product that is unduplicated. It is truly novel and unique. It is patented formula, and our technology is held with trade secret. We don't share it with anybody. We don't want it to be copied. We don't want anybody to mess it up. But our trade secreted technology is the only way you can make our formulas work. And so we're going to talk a particular molecule tonight, one that is so life-changing, it performs over 400 functions in your body. It is the most studied molecule in medicinal science. Right now, there are 194,000 published studies on this molecule. It's called glutathione, and it's made by every cell in your body. And it is so critical that without glutathione, there'd be no life on Earth. No plants, trees, animals, fish, birds, people. Everything disappears. Yes, we'd have a beautiful blue oxygen atmosphere, but there'd be no life. It's that critical. And glutathione is the first line of defense for any cell and every cell. And unfortunately, our glutathione levels and glutathione production in the cells declines by 8 to 15% per decade. So I'll be 77 in 2 months. That means I have 65% less glutathione today than I had at the age of 20. But the need for glutathione never goes down. In fact, it goes up because the attacks on the cell go up as you age, and the breakage of certain things in the cell increase with age. And all of that means trouble. And so let's just talk about glutathione for a minute. I'll tell you a little bit about our technology, and then I'll show you some evidence. Okay, what is glutathione? Glutathione is a tripeptide. That means it's made up of 3 peptides or 3 amino acids. It's sewn together in your cells through a 100-step electrochemical process. And it's sequential. Every step has to be in a sequence. Number 37 always has to be number 37. If 37 fell to the back or the front of the line, you couldn't create glutathione. And so it's quite a miracle, just its creation, but what it does in the body is unbelievable. Now, the reason you all are on the phone is because we have a product that as glutathione levels go down, we have a way to increase cellular production of glutathione and cellular utilization of glutathione. And you're talking about the key to over 400 functions, getting better rather than worse. Pretty simple. So what does glutathione do? We're not going to look at all 400 functions. We'll look at 3 or 4. First function is, without glutathione, there's no oxygen transfer. So you'd breathe in that beautiful air, fill up your lungs, but the oxygen in your lungs wouldn't transfer. It would get into the bloodstream, but the hemoglobin in the bloodstream that binds to the oxygen wouldn't bind to the oxygen without glutathione. Why? When hemoglobin is manufactured, it has iron deposits in the molecule. And in order for the hemoglobin molecule to attach to oxygen and hold that oxygen till it's designed to release it into a cell, it has to have these iron deposits at a +2 charge. The problem is many of them have a +3 charge, and that keeps them from binding together. So the +3 iron molecules have to be reduced to a +2. The sole reduction agent, the only thing that can reduce the charge on that on the iron, is glutathione. So without glutathione, we're all dead within minutes because oxygen won't get past our lungs into our brain, our heart, our kidneys, or any place else. That's one of 400 functions. What's another one? Well, we all saw in the pandemic how important the immune system is. The way the immune system works is you encounter a bacteria or a virus that's called an insult, not assault, insult. You have an insult from either a bacteria or a virus, and your immune system kicks in. and it targets that virus, which, by the way, is multiplying once it gets into the body. And it targets it with two assassins, the T cells and the B cells. And they target in and they try, their goal is to destroy, to kill that virus or bacteria in your body. Problem is, the bacteria or virus, once it's in your body, is replicating, duplicating, reproducing very rapidly. How fast glutathione, in order to defeat it, has to reproduce, not glutathione, the T cells have to reproduce rapidly. Well, if you have low glutathione levels, guess what happens? Your T cells are reproducing slow, while your virus or bacteria are reproducing rapidly, and you lose. The virus or bacteria wins. You get sick, you stay sick longer, and so on. So that is a vital role. When you have plenty of glutathione, your T cells and B cells, in response to the bacterial or viral insult, can reproduce rapidly, even explosively. And then you win. Your immune system wins and you win. You recover. You don't get sick at all. If you do get sick, you recover, and your recovery is faster if you have the higher amounts of glutathione. There was an article that appeared in the American Journal of Infectious Diseases in 2020, May of 2020, and it was entitled "Low Levels of Endogenous Glutathione as the Cause of Severe Symptoms and Death in COVID-19 Patients." People with high glutathione levels, they may have gotten sick, but they didn't die, and there's a reason for that. People with lower glutathione levels, they got sick, very sick, even obviously millions died. Jackie, I don't know who you're talking to, but I keep seeing the movement, and because I'm the highest ADD ever encountered in University of Utah, I'm easily distracted. But you can just deactivate your camera, and then I won't see if you need to talk. I don't want to curtail your activity. But anyway, so glutathione, it boosts your immune response so that your immune system is more effective at winning the battle against viruses or bacteria. And this particular article just showed, now there's two reasons that happens. Number one, you get a much more rapid replication of T cells if you have higher glutathione levels. The other thing that is amazing is glutathione lowers inflammation. And most of the people who died from COVID, what happened was that the COVID virus would cause a very rapid inflammation in the lining of the lungs called the cytokine storm. And when that took place, it just, and the result was that the lining of the lungs then became host to pneumonia. And it was pneumonia that killed most of the people. But what set the stage for that was the inability for the immune cells to reproduce fast enough to kill because of the low glutathione levels. And because of low glutathione levels, inflammation ran rampant. And I'll explain that in a second. So that takes us to another thing glutathione does. Glutathione is your body's master antioxidant. If you took all the known antioxidants, including the enzymes like catalase and superoxide dismutase, the protein antioxidants like vitamin E, vitamin C, vitamin A, CoQ10, put them all together, and they are about a millionth, combined about a millionth time as powerful as glutathione. But the other thing about glutathione is, you see, there's a whole host. What happens is every cell in your body is attacked 20,000 times a day by free radicals. And a free radical is a thief. It wants to steal an electron from the cell. And when it does that, it does some very terrible things. Number one, it causes oxidative stress, more oxygen than the cell can handle. You think, how can oxygen hurt you? Well, have you ever seen anything rust out? That's oxygen that's causing the rusting. And so, yes, it can hurt you, and it does. But the oxidative stress does three terrible things. Number one, the oxidative stress produces more free radicals. The oxidative stress accelerates the aging of the cell, and the oxidative stress causes inflammation to take place at an unnatural rate in the cell. So you're fighting the free radicals, you're fighting the inflammation, you're fighting accelerated aging. All three are really bad. And that's what happens when a cell is attacked by a free radical. And it happens 20,000 times a day for every cell in your body, 10 to 20,000 times. So glutathione, there's a spectrum of free radicals. They have different sources. Some come from oxygen, some come from nitrogen, some come from hydrogen. They have different chemical compositions. They have different structures. All antioxidants except glutathione are monofocus. So vitamin E can take out that one, but it leaves all of these guys. Vitamin C might take out that one, CoQ10, superoxide dismutase, catalase. Glutathione is called the master antioxidant because it can sequester and neutralize all free radicals, regardless of what type of free radical it is. It's the only thing that can. And in fact, we have free radicals today because of different chemicals, different things going on in our environment. When you have a cell phone, if you're in 5G range, the microwaves go right into your body, and those microwaves interact with the nitrogen in your body and create a free radical called peroxynitrite, which is very aggressive, very vicious. It lives 1 billion times longer than any oxygen-based free radical, so long it can transfer from one cell to the other. And guess what it does? It attacks the mitochondrial DNA. Why is that bad? Because when the mitochondrial DNA is broken, the cell is at risk, high risk for mutating and multiplying. And we call that cancer. The other thing that breaks the mitochondrial DNA is the chemical load in the cell. Everybody on this call has at least 200 industrial chemicals in your body. Well, glutathione has this sticky sulfhydryl molecule that sticks like flypaper to chemicals, and it's what your body uses to detoxify the cell from those chemicals. So the chemicals attack and break the DNA, free radicals attack and break the DNA, and glutathione is the key to beating the free radicals and the key to detoxifying. It is the primary detoxifier of the cells of every living creature. That's cool. Okay. So what's the problem? Let's all go out and buy. Our glutathione levels are declining every day, every decade. And the attack on the cells and in the cells is going up. So we have this big deficit, not enough bullets, too many attackers. What do? Let's all go out and buy glutathione capsules. You can buy them at any health food store. Problem is they're pretty inefficient. And let me tell you why. Glutathione and cysteine by themselves cannot get through the stomach. They're too fragile. They break. When they break, they won't be delivered to a cell. Cell won't accept a broken molecule like that. So to get around that, most manufacturers have surrounded, we'll say this is the glutathione molecule, and what they do is they wrap it in a fat or a liposome, and that protects it through the stomach. That's the good news. The bad news is look how much bigger it is. And the average cell is only 100 nanometers in diameter, and the pores in the cell are only 10 nanometers. Now, a strand of hair, by comparison, is 80,000 nanometers thick. And you're talking a little hole in the cell that's only 100, not 100,000, 100 nanometers in diameter. So when the molecules by itself, if it got in there, it could get into the pore and actually get into the cell. Problem is, if you've encapsulated it with a lipid, now what happens? It cannot get in the cell. So what does it do? It sits on top of the cell, and then you're dependent on various energies to try to force what's laying on top of the cell into the cellular wall. And then it has to get from the wall ultimately into the cytoplasm of the cell. Can it do it? Yeah, but inefficiently and very ineffectively to one degree. I'll give you an example in a minute, but it's kind of like trying to ride a bicycle uphill, up a steep grade in high gear. You pedal real fast and you go real slow. You may or may not make it to the top. Okay, now what have we done? We found a way, instead of using a fat, of wrapping the particles, the molecules, in water molecules, so that our size, instead of being the size of a liposomal coated molecule, much, much smaller, easily goes into the cell through the pore. Now, why is water won't get it through the stomach. Stomach will destroy it. But the particle size is small enough that if ours is in a liquid form and you swish it like a mouthwash, and as you're swishing it, the glutathione, particles and the other things that we have in it are all going right into your bloodstream. And once in the bloodstream, it only takes one pass of circulation, which is about 50 to 60 seconds, to exit the bloodstream into the cells. So it's rapid delivery, and it's efficient, and it's effective. Boy, is it effective. Well, this didn't happen overnight. We put millions of dollars into this. For me, well over a decade of research, and we were able to do it. And it's unique in that way. The results were, I knew if we had really done what I thought we had done, that rather than pay a university $60,000 or $70,000 to test it, we decided to do our own test, and we gave it to some athletes. Because if we were successful, we would change both performance and recovery. Well, we sent it out to a couple athletes. Report back. I'm already lifting more weight. I can't even believe this. Recovery, very rapid, about 70% faster recovering from a workout or an event with our product than without our product. Well, recovery is everything. Ask any trainer and he'll tell you how fast you recover determines both how much you can work out as far as frequency and as well as intensity. So recovery is really critical. And we really turned on the gas on the recovery. And we'll show you one of our athletes to give an idea of the difference it made. Keith, you want to bring up Mr. Gillespie? Okay, this is Bill Gillespie, and he was the strength and conditioning coach for the National Football League team, the Seattle Seahawks. And after his tenure there, he went on over to his alma mater for 14 years and became the strength and conditioning coach for Liberty University's football team. He's always been an amateur weightlifter. By classifying as amateur, that means he's drug tested anytime he platforms, comes in first, second, or third. And so Bill, let's go to the chart now. And you see that little peak there. In 2008, at the age of 49, he set the world record at in a bench press, 804 pounds I think that's about 340, 300, no, yeah, 340 kilos, something like that. And then in the next 10 years, he lost lean muscle. He had a lot of inflammation, and he couldn't work out as often. He couldn't lift heavy, what he calls lifting heavy. Instead of lifting heavy 4 times a week, he could only lift heavy once a week. And you can see the amount he could lift decline. In 2018, when we developed this, I sent it to him. I said, "How you doing?" He says, "Oh, my weight, my bench press is in the toilet." I said, "How much?" He says, "About 700 pounds." I said, "Bill, that's a lot for a 59-year-old." He said, "Yeah, it's a world record for a 59-year-old, but I don't get to compete with the elite guys anymore because they're all pushing 800, 900 pounds." And so I said, "Well, we're going to change all that." I sent him our product, told him how to use it. You swish it like a mouthwash. And look what happened. Before he turned 60, he went to 915 pounds. At 60, he went to 1,050 pounds. And at 62, at his retirement meet, he benched 1,129 pounds. That's 512 kilos, 40% more at 62 than 13 years earlier when he set the world record at the age of 49. Now, how does that happen? How do you improve your weightlifting by 40%? Well, you've got to recover faster so you can work out more often with more intensity. And that's exactly what happened with Bill. And we've had other athletes. The rapid recovery. In fact, we have, as I mentioned, we have a medical board that serves for free. And one of the members has 25 sports medicine clinics in Europe. Most of his clients are professional athletes and world-class athletes. How world-class? Well, at last year's World Championship Marathon, 2 of the top 3 finishers were his clients. Heavyweight champion of the world, one of his clients. A lot of pro soccer players, or pro footballers, I guess we would say, for Europe and the rest of the world, are his clients. And what they discovered is we delay, with a conditioned athlete, we delay the onset of lactic acidosis by 16.7%. I said, "Is that good?" He said, "Is it good? There's nothing in the world that will improve it, that will delay it by even 1%. He said, "It gives a runner 2 additional kilometers before they start making lactic acid. That changes their performance. And more importantly, it rapidly accelerates the recovery because there's not near as much tissue damage." So athletes loved us. One of our athletes was in a 100-mile bike race. She got in an accident at mile 37, went end over end, hit the pavement at 23 miles an hour, hit it so hard it knocked her out, broke her helmet. But her face was pretty much shredded. And she was hospitalized Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and came home Tuesday night. Well, she was swishing for the race. She was breaking all of her records. And when she got to the hospital, once she had her faculties about her, because that took a while, she would go ahead and swish our product to help. She thought it would help her recovery. She gets home on Tuesday night and thinks, "Hey, this stuff is small particle. Maybe it'll help my face heal." So she poured some on a cotton ball, did it on her face. And then on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, did that 3 times each day. By Sunday, the plastic surgeon in the hospital said it would take 5 weeks to clear. Well, with only 5 days of topical application, her face was perfect. Not a mark, not an abrasion, not a scab, not a scar. It was a miracle. She sent me the pictures and I thought, oh my gosh, we have the world's best skincare product. I had co-owned with my partners 5 different cosmetic companies in my life with lots of celebrities. All of our stuff was always celebrity driven. And I loved makeup because you could get great before and afters. We had what was called the no makeup. I loved hair. We had hair care that was a great line that Cher was our spokesman for. And but skincare was always tough because even when we had great formulas, you didn't see that much of a difference. Well, I thought, my gosh, I just saw the biggest change in skin probably ever recorded, ever. So I put some in spray bottles, sent it out to some ladies and said, spray your face 5 times a day. It won't cause your makeup to run, just and you're done. Do that 5 times a day for 8 weeks, and let's see what kind of pictures we get. Well, here was the very first picture that came in. And Keith, can you move in on that a little bit for the sake of anybody that's looking at this on a cell phone? Here we go. There you go. Okay, that's Sherry Warner. She was 58 at the time. And she did that, sprayed her face 5 times a day for 7 weeks. And look at the difference. I sent that to my former formulator, who became the head formulator for the company that created Botox. And he was president of the American Society of Cosmetic Chemists. I sent him this. He said, Steve, she had a facelift. There's no topical product in the world that can do that. Look how much brighter her face is. Look at the lift that she got. Look how much tighter. There's no way that's a topical product. I said, she owns a farm, works on a farm, lives on the farm. No procedure has ever touched her face. Not a knife, not a laser, nothing. He goes, well, then you've got something the rest of the world doesn't have. I said, I know. Okay, we're going to show you some pictures, and then we'll close. Okay, that was I was much younger here. I was only 71. And Ryan, my son, wanted me to spray half my face. I said, no, your mom won't go out with me if I do that. But I'll spray my right hand and not my left hand. Well, you can see the difference. In 12 weeks, my right hand looks like it's at least 20 years younger than my left hand. Next. This is an 84-year-old. I said, how often did you spray? This is in 4 weeks. Look at her neck, look at her chin, look at her mouth. I said, how often do you spray? She says, I have multiple bottles all over the house. So anytime I pass one, I go ahead and spray. I didn't keep track, but that was 4 weeks. That took at least 20 years off of her face. Next. This is another 84-year-old. And she said, I had old lady knees and now I have, or legs, and now I have young lady legs. And that was 10 weeks, pretty miraculous. Next. This was an esthetician in Miami. She owns her own skincare salon. She said, I can't wait 8 weeks. Look at what it did in 8 days. Where did my pores go? Look how much smoother, brighter my skin is. Look how it lifted my eyes. She said, Steve, there's no product like this in the world. And she obviously, she was excited. Next. Here's a 60-year-old. Now that was only 1 month, not 2 months like Sherry, but yet look at the lift. This is 6 months. Now we met her at this point, and Aaron and I both thought she was maybe 42 to 45. She's 60 years old. Lighter, tighter, brighter, younger, smoother. Those are all good adjectives that describe what we do. Next. Okay, he's 67. Once again, lighter, brighter, tighter, smoother, younger. Pretty cool. Next. Okay, this gal is I think she was like 17. She didn't need much, but her pores were pretty pronounced. And after 10 days, it was almost like they had disappeared. Her skin tone became even. That's not makeup or a filter. And she was amazed by it. Next. Here we go. She is the first lady's that I showed you, the first lady's mother. That was in 3 weeks. And she was amazed. Next. Okay, she is a smoker in her 60s, was a smoker. And of course, so there's a lot of damage on her skin. Smoking wreaks havoc on your DNA, by the way. And this was just 8 weeks. And she, once again, her neck, which is always an early tell on how old you are, her neck really improved as well as her face. Next. Okay, that was only 6 days, but you can see it's already having a great effect. Next. This lady's in Nigeria. Now, one thing that's neat, her daughter's a doctor and brought her the product. Look at how much lighter the top half of her face is. Now, that's proper management of melanin that evidently takes place as you raise glutathione levels in the skin cells. Next. Almost done. There we go. He's 94. He says, I love the new look. That was 8 months. but more important, I feel like the guy on the right instead of the guy on the left. And boy, if I could look that good and feel that good at 94, I would be a happy camper. Next. This lady's in Hungary. She's 87. And I said, how often did you spray your face? She said, same thing. I did what you said. The first lady did. I sprayed it 5 times a day for 7 weeks. Now look at the deep wrinkles and creases in her skin on the left, but not on the right. And that is not a filter. It had that amazing effect with her. She's a very sweet lady. Okay, so why do we show you that? Number one, we have the world's best skincare. But more important than that, the biochemical action that is improving the health of the skin and the look of the skin, almost like reversed aging, that same biochemical action caused by glutathione is taking place with every cell in your body, your brain, your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, your liver. It is truly amazing. And yes, we have reason to make all those claims. Today we were with a group, and I came away from the group and I was doing some studies, and there was a study on liposomal glutathione and liver disease. And it showed what it did. It had the 39 subjects change their diet and start exercising, and they were monitored for 3 months, 90 days. After all that, they gave them the liposomal glutathione, and then they tested it at that point, and then they tested the liver after 4 months. And there was a 12.9% change, which isn't bad, in one of the markers that they look at for liver disease. This week, we got in a lab work on somebody that I won't mention. She's not that old. And they thought, well, she must be an alcoholic because her marker was so high. And she said, no, I don't even drink. In 8 days of using our product, not 3 months of diet and exercise followed by 4 months, in 8 days, only change she made with our product, there was a 60% reduction in the marker. That's the difference between liposomal, fast pedaling, slow moving, and our technology called Hydrostat. Now, of course, that's not a study, and we're not making a claim that that'll happen for everybody or anybody. What we're saying is it is so much more efficient, so much more effective, because getting in the cell is key. Now, one of the latest additions to our medical board is a guy named Dr. Sotiris Nikolopoulos in Greece. All of his education, medical education and science education, was in the United States. His postdoctorate was 6 years, a 6-year postdoctorate fellowship at Sloan Kettering, one of the top cancer hospitals in the world. And he has discovered that the improvement our product has made, he discovered it on his own, is making an unparalleled, never before seen improvement in certain things, as measured. His way of measuring is gene expression. And he was just in amazement. Well, he amazed me with his findings and some other people. In fact, we had another doctor from the Cleveland Clinic who is a liver specialist. When he saw what Dr. Nikolopoulos was able to measure, monitor, and what his results were, he threw up we were all on a Zoom call. He threw up his arms. He's 70, I think he's 71. So he's a kid. Threw up his arms and said, I'm in, count me in. This is unbelievable. And so now he's joined our medical board. He's actually in Eastern Europe right now. He gets back home to the Cleveland Clinic next week, and we'll be moving further on our efforts. We're always learning more, but what we have is a true gift from the Lord. I would be a fraud and a liar if I took credit for this. The Lord brought us the scientists gave the scientists the inspiration for the technology, brought in great people for us to advance our cause. I've been at this since 2006 in the glutathione realm and have worked with some great scientists. And now we bring it to you, not for $500 a bottle, not for $300 a serving, infused IV, a glutathione IV goes for $200 to $300, and it only has a half-life. It has a 6-hour bang for the buck with an impotent tail for 20 to 30 hours. We now, and I'll be demonstrating, I hope you all come to NUMMI Week. You can watch it from any place in the world, but we have made a change that will be in our future product. It's not there now, but we'll let you know when it's there, where we have changed the ratio of 2 of the ingredients from that ratio to this ratio. The result, it has tripled the half-life of our glutathione. Instead of the average 90 minutes, we believe we're getting 270 minutes before we go into the half-life. So the results that people will see when that comes out is just amazing. But we're always innovating. We are an innovative company. We have a technology that nobody else in the world has. We're patenting our formulas so nobody else can duplicate our formulas. And we're taking it to the world through this word-of-mouth advertising, one-on-one with everybody on this call. And so I just want to thank you for your part, because we could never at corporate get it out to the world like you're able to get it to your neighbors, and they get it to their neighbors. And it's just been an amazing ride. So Keith, I'll end it on that, and back to you.
All right. What another fantastic call, Steve. And there was one question, and it was
Okay.
about that 3X half-life. So you pretty much answered that.
Yeah. And people are asking me, when will I get that? It'll be automatically sent in your auto ship when we are ready to distribute. And that will be before the end of the year. I'm not going to give you a hard date. I will say we're in production right now. We're producing it right now. It is amazing. It is really amazing. And so does that answer that question?
Yes. Yes, 100%. And I tell you what, I can't wait. It's going to be some exciting times. It already is. We're just going to 3X the excitement for sure.
Yep.
So there was one more question, if you wouldn't mind taking a second.
I don't mind at all.
On the instructions on the bottle, it's now that we have the serving caps included. The instructions are saying 2 capfuls per serving. So do you know if there's any future thinking about rewriting the instructions so it matches serving?
I'll bring that up tomorrow. What it is, it's 1 serving cup or 2 capfuls. The cup isn't the cap. The cap is the little piece that screws on and off. So it's 2 capfuls, 10 ml. There you go. Now that's a cap. So 2 of those or 1 serving cup. Yeah, I'll see if we can make that. It's basically 2 teaspoons or 10 ml, 10 milliliters. Okay.
And that was it, brother. What a great call. Certainly appreciate you taking time out to share with the community. Looks like
every Thursday, buddy. Now, next Thursday, I don't leave till Friday. Yeah, so I'll be able to do next Thursday.
Good. Next Thursday is still on. And then, so make sure you're watching live tonight. Make sure, or if you're watching a replay, because we did stream live to NUMMI's YouTube channel. So whether you're watching live or watching a replay, make sure that you invite for next week. Next Thursday, Steve's going to be back live to talk again more about the technology, the hydrostat, and how this is really making an impact in performance in people's lives all across the world. I call it a global shift in the wellness of humanity, and we're doing it live with NUMMI.
Every aspect of your life, because glutathione is critical to the cellular health of every cell, tissue, organ. How you get through your day, mentally, physically, how you start your day, how you go through the middle, and how you end your day. It's all highly relevant here. Look at the sun's starting to come up. I better sit up. Anyway, I will say something exciting happens a week from Saturday. I have a son who has been away from home for 14 years, going through all of his medical training. And a week from this Saturday, he graduates from his 3-year cardiothoracic surgery. And the great news is once he graduates, he's accepted a job here in our home state as a heart surgeon. So he'll be coming back and he'll bring his 5 kids, our grandkids. We're so excited. But that's why I might have a little blackout time. I will be here for the NUMMI week. And I hope everybody, we're going to have our doctors. I'm going to interview Dr. Nicolopoulos. He'll be one of at least 4 medical doctors that we will have interviewed or explaining different things. And like I say, we have a lot of doctors. We have at least, I'm sure, 1,000 doctors involved with us around the world. We're in 74 countries. Anyway, with that, Keith, I've talked too much, but I just wanted to share my excitement with our NUMMI family. And
absolutely. You never talk too much, my friend. I love it.
Well, thank you, Keith. Okay. God bless you all and have a great weekend.
God bless you, Steve, for sure. And hey, just to recap on the NUMMI week coming, in case you haven't heard, there are going to be things like professional social media training. And this is from a third party. This isn't internal to NUMMI. This is third party marketing specialists coming in to teach on social media training. Also, the use of AI. The Medical Advisory Board is going to be here. Training from the top leadership in the field of NUMMI. You'll get to participate in NUMMI's exciting 5th-year vision and plan for the future, not just where we've been and where we are today, but where NUMMI's going in the future. Also, an exciting product launch. If you haven't heard that one yet, make sure you're attending because there's going to be a really powerful, exciting new product launch coming throughout NUMMI week. And then, of course, the interviews that Steve mentioned. He'll be doing some interviews one-on-one with 4 of the doctors from our Medical Advisory Board. It's going to be a great event. But before that, we have next Thursday. Make sure you're inviting all your friends, all your family, anybody who's thinking about contemplating or even otherwise ready to get started with NUMMI. Get them here next Thursday night so they could hear from Steve Scott, the founder of NUMMI, the author of Hydrostat, right? Next Thursday, right here on NUMMI.tv. Until then, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone.
We love you all.
Bye-bye.